The Secrets of the Great Pyramid. The Queen's Chamber of Secrets. Overview of theories about the so-called air shafts. Part 2. The Briton Thomas Shaw visited the pyramids in July 1721. But if Cheops, Sophies, or whoever else was the founder of the Great Pyramid, intended it only for his sepulchre, what occasion was there for such a narrow, crooked entrance into it? For the well, as it is called, at the end of the entrance, for the lower chamber, with a large niche or hole in the eastern wall of it, for the long narrow cavities in the walls of the upper room, or for the two antechambers, and the lofty gallery, with benches on each side, that introduce us into it. In May 1723, Johann Egidius Egmont visited the pyramid together with the Jesuit priest Claude Sicard and wrote about the air shafts. On each side of the chamber are two apertures in the wall, but to what distance they extend cannot be determined. They were probably left when the chamber was built, but the original intention is unknown. In 1737, Friedrich Ludwig Norden traveled to Egypt on behalf of the Danish king. He doesn't know what the air shafts were used for, nor their length, as they were filled with stones and other things by curious people who wanted to find out how long the passages went. There is nothing else to see in this room, except two small canals, one on the north side, the other on the south side. It is not possible to determine their use, nor their depth, because they are blocked with stones and other things, which the curious have thrown there, to try to know how far they go. In 1764, Nathaniel Davison, the later British consul of Nice and Algiers, was in Egypt from Cairo. He often goes on excursions to the Giza pyramids. In July 1765, due to strange echoes in the Great Gallery, he discovered the entrance to the first relief chamber, which he explored and which has borne his name ever since. In a previously unpublished describing the Pyramid of Cheops, he shares with us his exact observations and measurements of the air ducts of the royal chamber. The holes M and are exactly opposite one to another. 8 feet 2 in. From the east end, and at the top of the lowest of the 5 tiers of stones which form the whole height of the room. The hole N on the north side of the room L is 5½ in high and 8½ wide. The one on the opposite side differs from this as well in size as in form. It is not improbable that its dimensions at first were the same. Perhaps a curiosity to find out where it led may have occasioned its enlargement. It is of an oval form 10 inches wide and 1 feet 2 in high. It is wider a little way in, but soon becomes as straight and even more so than the entrance. Dominique Vivant Denon came to Egypt during Napoleon Bonaparte's Egyptian campaign in 1799, where he also visited the pyramids. He wrote about the air shafts that the curious paid too much attention to them. The tomb is open and empty, without any vestige of its lid remaining. The only deterioration in this entire room is the attempted search at one of the corners, and two small, approximately round holes, at the height of the support, to which curious onlookers have attached too much importance. The British officer Howard Vyse, who first came to Egypt in 1835, began excavations in Giza in 1836 together with Giovanni Battista Caviglia. After breaking up with Caviglia, he worked with John Shea Perring on research into the pyramids of Giza. He became famous for his use of explosives in the Pyramid of Cheops. He used this to blast open access to the upper 4 relief chambers of the king's chamber, in which he found red or ochre stonemason's marks that allowed the pyramid to be clearly assigned to Cheops. On the outer south side of the Pyramid of Cheops he blew up a 9 meters deep breach that can still be seen today between the 18th and 31 St. stone layers. His name is still synonymous with explosives archaeology today. In mid-May 1837 he had the north shaft of the king's chamber cleaned of dirt and debris by Arabs under the supervision of Mr. Hill using drill rods, and then the south shaft at the end of May. He describes the result like this. Upon the removal of this block, the channel was completely open. An immediate rush of air took place, and we had the satisfaction of finding that the ventilation of the king's chamber was perfectly restored, and that the air within it was cool and fresh. It is, however, satisfactorily proved by these operations that they were intended to ventilate the king's chamber, and that they have no communication with any other apartments, and, consequently, it might be inferred that no chambers, or passages, exist in the pyramid besides those already discovered.